This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform to easily and efficiently build and manage your own website. Hi everyone, I'm FlagonHG, and this is the video of my very first Hardcore Nuzlocke of a Gen 1 game, Pokémon Yellow. We're officially 9 generations into the largest media franchise in the world, but before exploring all the magical wonders that Paldea has to offer, I want to go back to a simpler time, a time before terastallization, before Dynamax, Z-moves, and Megas. In Gen 1, Pokémon was a barely functioning game, with a nearly catastrophic number of glitches and coding errors. Sleep was an unbelievably broken mechanic, critical hits were based off of the speed stat, and level up movesets were an embarrassment. It was perfect. Despite playing through these games non-stop as a wee lad, I've never done a Nuzlocke of any of the Generation 1 games, so I figured that doing one without looking anything up, based only on memory, would make for a fun challenge. The rules for this challenge are in the description below, but with that, let's get started. My journey begins in the purple-tinted town of Pallet Town, and I'm immediately filled with nostalgia. Pokémon Yellow in particular has such a charming aesthetic. Each town and city has its own vibrant color palette, the digital music is iconic, and the Pokémon sprites are beautifully designed. I know I started this video by crapping on Generation 1, but it's not hard to see how these games captured the imagination of an entire generation of young gamers. Just look at how cute Pikachu is. For the question of the day, let me know what your first Pokémon game was. It's always cool to see when people join the franchise. After Oak saves me from being killed by this feral rodent, we head back to his lab where his grandson named Wiener is waiting. Unlike in most Pokémon games, I don't get to choose my starter. Instead, Wiener lives up to his name and nabs the Eevee that's sitting on the table. What kind of sadistic narcissist would just steal an Eevee off of a table without asking? This forces Oak to give me the Pikachu he just incarcerated for attempted murder, which doesn't exactly scream an ideal partner Pokémon, but beggars can't be choosers, so I'll take what I can get. I name my first teammate Cheese, and then we're immediately forced into a battle against Wiener and his stolen Eevee. And right off the bat, Cheese shows us that he's not messing around. Cheese's very first Thundershock paralyzes Eevee as he retaliates with a fairly hard tackle. And then Cheese's second Thundershock gets a critical hit. This chubby little sack of electricity is a killing machine, and Eevee never stood a chance. I would feel kinda bad if it wasn't for the fact that the rival in Pokémon Yellow is even more of a cuck than the one from Red and Blue. After beating up his grandson, Oak tells me that I can talk to Cheese to see how he's feeling. So I see how he's doing, and he doesn't seem to care if I live or die. It isn't love, it isn't hate, it's just indifference. But that's fine. This is just the beginning of a long and beautiful friendship. Everyone's gotta start somewhere. And we won't be going at this alone, because we can now start getting some more encounters. Yellow's encounter tables are different from those in Red and Blue, so I'm hoping to see some different Pokémon in this playthrough. Though on Route 1 at least, it's a pretty standard run-of-the-mill Pidgey. My lack of enthusiasm for the Pidgey line is well documented, and they're even worse in Generation 1, since Gust isn't even a flying type move in these games. On Route 22 though, things get a bit more exciting when I find a female Nidoran and name her Corn. And then on Route 2, I catch a male Nidoran named Squash. Corn and Squash will be best friends forever. Or lovers. Only time will tell. On my way through Viridian Forest, I catch a Metapod, which is probably the most inconvenient encounter I could have gotten, because Metapod doesn't learn an attacking move by level up. So I have to switch train Butter all the way up until level 10 when he evolves into a Butterfree and learns Confusion. It's a pretty grueling process, but after destroying every Pokemon, woman, and child in Viridian Forest, my team has reached the level cap and it's time to face off against the first gym leader, Brock. It's been a long time since I've played these games, so I don't remember exactly what Brock or any of the other gym leaders have, but at least for Brock, it's probably a safe assumption that he has a Geodude and an Onix, just like in all the other Kanto games. This means that my starter Cheese is pretty much useless. Fortunately, the Nido duo both know Double Kick in this game, so I lead with Squash. I start with a Leer as Geodude goes for a Tackle. I didn't know this at the time since I'm not looking things up, but Tackle is Geodude's only move. So it's pretty easy and safe for Squash to just relentlessly kick him in the face until he breaks in half. Onix is next and outspeeds Squash, but also can't really do anything to him, especially if he misses all of his attacks. Now, I figured that this guy might have Rock Throw or something moderately scary, so once he connects with a Screech to lower our defenses, I switch to Corn. And can we all just take a moment to look at her back sprite? What's even going on here? Regardless, after Onix connects with the world's weakest tackle, a Double Kick, one of which crits, is enough to take out the not-so-mighty Rock Snake, winning us the very first gym badge. That was much easier than I was expecting. I mean, it's possible that we won't even lose a single Pokemon this entire never mind. Although Cheese may be cute, he's not particularly bulky, so a critical hit horn attack from a random trainer's Nidoran on Route 3 is enough to deliver an unexpected finishing blow. If you've never played Pokémon Yellow before, you might not know that they gave Pikachu a lot of custom sounds in this game to give the partner Pokémon some more personality. And let me tell ya, the sound that Pikachu makes when he faints is among the most upsetting things that I heard as a small child. Just listen to him scream. That simple sound has been permanently etched into my mind since childhood. Sitting there, staring at the screen of my AA battery-powered Game Boy Color was the first time that I was ever confronted with the idea of mortality and death. Thanks for that, Game Freak. As my team mourns the loss of their leader Cheese, we make our way towards Mount Moon. Just outside of the mountain, I catch a Spearow and name him Big Bird. Inside, I catch a Zubat and name her Bile, but even without looking it up, I know that Zubat's Gen 1 moveset is a travesty, so I certainly don't plan on using her. By the time we've reached the end of the mountain path, the Nido duo have both evolved, giving my team a bit more power. This is just in time for the first fight against Team Rocket, who ambush me right before we leave Mount Moon for good. I remember Team Rocket being deceptively difficult, but I must have been a pretty stupid child or something, because these guys are a total joke. It's cool to see them be a part of the game, given how important they are to the anime, but Meowth, Coughing, and Ekans are no match for Squash the Nidorino, who takes care of the ne'er-do-wells all on his own. Fortunately, Squash was up for the task, but you don't always need to do things all by yourself. For example, if you've always wanted to create a website but didn't know where to start, you should check out the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. Squarespace is an online platform that helps you build and manage your own website, whether that's an online store for your business or a personal blog for your thoughts. With their all-in-one platform, it's super simple to quickly design polished websites directly from customizable templates. For example, I use Squarespace to launch my very own website, poppyhg.com, the home of dozens of curated pictures of my corgi puppy Poppy. I just love her so much, and this website is such a nice way to share her with the world. Squarespace also has a ton of other really useful features, like analytic information about the traffic of your website, the ability to add and play embedded videos directly on your website, and Squarespace member areas, which can be used to connect with audiences and create exclusive members-only content. So, if you're looking to start a website for your business or hobby, then you should absolutely check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your website, you can use my custom link to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thanks so much to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the challenge. Just outside of Cerulean City on Route 4, I try to catch a Sandshrew, but realize that I'm out of Pokeballs. So I guess this little fella gets to live his life free from the shackles of oppression. Sad. Misty and her water types are waiting for me at the Cerulean City gym, but without Cheese the Pikachu, our team isn't looking super hot into presumably a Staryu and Starmie. So I head north where a battle against Wiener awaits. His Pokemon are actually a bit different than they are in Red and Blue, but for now they aren't too much of an issue. This means that I can make it to Route 24 where a random man gives me a Charmander. Definitely not useful for Misty, but it's cool that you can get all 3 starters in this game. On Route 25 though, I can catch a Bellsprout named Lemon, and she'll immediately be very useful into Misty, assuming that her Pokemon don't have Psychic-type moves or something. So, as soon as I evolve Lemon into Weepinbell, we barge into the Cerulean City gym, ready for war. Grass types kind of get the raw end of the already very raw stick that is the Generation 1 movesets, so Lemon is stuck using 35 base power Vine Whip to deal with Misty's 2 Starfish. Fortunately, all they do is use Tackle. Well, that's not quite true. Misty actually uses an X defense and Harden to boost her Starmie's defense, but surprisingly that doesn't really work out for her, and Starmie falls a few turns later, winning us an aggressively easy second gym badge. I can't believe I lost! Really, Misty? You thought that using Tackle with your Starmie was the game-winning play? You might want to head back to the drawing board there and rethink things, Chief. With Misty defeated, I decide to bring Sunflower fully onto the team. Both of my birds have evolved, and like usual, I choose to keep Big Bird the Fearow over Tweety the Pidgeotto, so the latter is off to keep Bile company in the box. Once I get to Vermilion City, I talk to a cop who's looking for a strong trainer to take care of a delinquent Squirtle. But I guess that's not me. Rude. Well, to the right of Vermilion City, on Route 11, I find a Rattata. Rattata's yellow sprite is so funny to me. Something about his posture makes him look fake. Like, he kinda looks like he's been taxidermied to trick a small child into thinking that their pet is still alive when you look at him from a distance. Yeah, that's Charlie over there, wave hi. No, we can't get any closer because Charlie actually has to catch a bus to go live at the farm upstate. He'll be very happy there though, so say your goodbyes. Anyways, I was hoping for a Drowsy, but I guess Queso is fine too. Unfortunately, he's going into the box because we don't have an opening on the team, and I don't expect to have one anytime soon. Well, that sucks. Self-destruct is a pretty classic Nuzlocke killer, so I'm not surprised I lost a Pokemon this way. I'm just disappointed. And sad. RIP, Corn. I hope Squash doesn't take this too hard. The worst part about this is that this Voltorb was against a random avoidable trainer on the SS Aqua. I just got greedy and wanted this item. But at the very least, we can take this item as a small token to always remember Corn by. Motherfuck! Looks like we have an opening on the team, so Queso squads up. With a few levels, he evolves into Raticate, which has an absolutely menacing sprite in this game. Imagine this giant 2-foot-tall rat coming at you in the dead of night with those creepy, almost human-like hands. Ugh, I'm glad Queso's on my team. Lieutenant Surge is up next, so I decide to use the Moonstone I found in Mount Moon to evolve Squash into Nidoking. For a while, I was having a hard time deciding who I was going to use my one Moonstone on, but I guess that problem sorta solved itself. As a Nidoking, Squash is part ground type, giving him an immunity to Lieutenant Surge's electric type attacks. I also figured I could teach him Dig, but evidently Nidoking can't learn Dig, which is stupid, but we'll make do. As our battle begins, Lieutenant Surge reveals that he only has one Pokemon, a Raichu. Like in the anime, so I guess that makes sense. Given how easy the first two gyms were, I didn't bother getting anyone to the level cap, so Squash is sitting at level 25. Lieutenant Surge starts with an X speed, which seems to be a bit unnecessary since Raichu is definitely faster, but it does mean that we can hit him with a Thrash for free. Unfortunately, Thrash is not a two-shot. This is bad because Thrash locks us in as Raichu goes for a Mega Kick on the next turn that crits and leaves Squash with just 19 HP. So, as a second Thrash leaves Raichu in the red, I assume that Squash is going to be joining his friend/lover in the Great Beyond. But then Surge just throws the match by going for a Thunderbolt, which obviously doesn't do anything to Squash, letting him finish off Raichu with one last Thrash and winning us the battle. I don't even know what to say. Well, after showing her that we've beaten up a veteran, the cop decides that I'm a good enough trainer to take care of the mischievous Squirtle, so Submarine joins the team, replacing Butter, who isn't nearly as useful without the ability Compound Eyes. With a few levels, Submarine evolves into War Turtle, and then we're off to Celadon City. On the way, I stop by Cerulean City to talk to a woman who's nursed a Bulbasaur back to health and is looking for a good trainer to take care of him now. But apparently this snobby lady thinks I'm not fit to care for her precious used Bulbasaur. I'm getting a little tired of being judged by random NPCs, but whatever. We can come back after getting another badge, and surely I'll be worthy by then. After feeling my way through Rock Tunnel, I arrive in Celadon City and immediately head up to the secret rooftop clubhouse. There, I grab the Eevee that's chilling in his Pokeball on the table. It's obviously mine for the taking. I name him Mustard and use a Thunderstone to evolve him into Jolteon, who for some inexplicable reason looks exactly like Jack Nicholson, right? It's uncanny. Next up, it's off to the Celadon City gym, where Erica and her grass types await. For whatever reason, her team has been downgraded from having a Victory Bell and a Vileplume in red and blue, to having a Weeping Bell and Gloom in yellow, so this is another very trivial fight. Big Bird with Fly is able to clean through this entire gym. I was a little worried when Tangela survived because she could have nailed us with a Stun Spore or something, but she ends up just going for Constrict. This does lower our speed, but evidently it's not enough to prevent Big Bird from outspeeding Weeping Bell and Gloom, taking them both out with one fly apiece and winning us the 4th gym badge. Easy stuff. With 4 gym badges collected, you'd think I'd be worthy enough to take care of the Bulbasaur in Cerulean City, but that appears to not be the case. As a kid, I could never figure out how to get this lady to give me her damn Bulbasaur. In a way, it's kinda nice to know that after 27 years of experiencing the world, I still can't figure it out. Or maybe that's pathetic. I don't even need this Bulbasaur, we've been doing just fine with Lemon the Weeping Bell, but this is no longer about needing or even wanting this Bulbasaur. It's about proving to this elitist, stuck-up lady that she's wrong about me. Have 2 of the Pokemon under my care tragically perished in battle? Technically, yes, but that's besides the point. Bulbasaur would have a loving home for the rest of his life, no matter how short, and it's insulting that this woman is suggesting otherwise. But I guess she needs more proof, so that's what I'll get. There's a lot to explore before the 5th and 6th gyms, which share a very high level cap of 50. But by the time I've cleared through the Rocket Hideout and Pokemon Tower quests, and made it to Fuchsia City, I'm nowhere near level 50. At around level 36, I start clearing through Silph and Cerulean City and run into my rival. I have no idea what level his Pokemon are at, so this has the potential to be really bad. He leads with his Sandslash at level 38, and I lead with Mustard, expecting a Fearow. So I immediately switch out to Lemon, who I've evolved into Victreebel. Her moveset is still pretty bad, but I had no idea if she would learn anything better anyways, and at the very least we can teach her Mega Drain by TM, so we can gain HP back as we kill Sandslash with 2 40 base power hits. Next is Wiener's Cloyster. I assumed he wouldn't know an Ice-type move, so I stay in and hit another Mega Drain. I assumed wrong, as an Aurora Beam smacks my Grass-type hard, though it ends up being fine. A second Mega Drain takes out Cloyster, which brings in Wiener's Magneton. We nail them with a Sleep Powder, inducing broken Gen 1 Sleep, which lasts anywhere from 1 to 7 turns, and prevents the Pokemon from attacking on the turn they wake up. This gives me a free switch to Queso, who can take them out with 2 Body Slams. It's funny to see a normal type move do neutral damage into Magneton, but Gen 1 was before the introduction of the Steel type. Next up is Kadabra. I was worried about Alakazam, but Kadabra is totally fine. A Body Slam takes him out before he can get off a single attack. So that just leaves Wiener with his Flareon. Probably the easiest of the 3 potential evolutions he could have. I think what he evolves his Eevee into is random, but I'm not really sure. Regardless, his Flareon, despite being at level 40, is no match for Submarine, who has evolved into Blastoise. 2 Surfs easily take him out, winning us the battle. That means that we need to face off against Giovanni to save the president of Silph. Fortunately, Giovanni is completely drowned by Surfs from Submarine. His highest level Pokemon is Nidoqueen at level 41, so I'm really starting to second guess whether I looked up the wrong level caps or something, because level 50 seems way too high. After beating Giovanni, Danny DeVito gives me a Master Ball for saving his life. I won't be using it though. I'm ride or die with this team, so we won't be catching any new Pokemon. Now it's time to face off against Koga for the 5th gym badge. I was anticipating that he would lead with Coughing or Muck or something, so I lead with Queso, who knows Dig. But Koga actually leads with a level 44 Venonat, whose bug typing makes Dig a neutral attack. I nail the little bug with a Body Slam, but then he puts Queso to sleep with a Sleep Powder. So I switch to Big Bird on a Psychic. It doesn't do much damage, but it does drop our special. Fortunately, we've recently learned Drill Peck for an accurate stab move. As Koga's level 44 Venonat goes down, a level 46 one takes his place. And then it turns out that it's Venonats all the way down, as a 3rd level 48 Venonat comes out after we've drilled a hole through the 2nd one. But Koga does mix it up for his 4th and final Pokemon. It's Venomoth. I was a little worried that a Drill Peck might not kill this with the level advantage, which would let Venomoth hit us with a hard Psychic, but we crit Drill Peck and he goes down in one shot. Koga's defeated, and Big Bird is unstoppable. So we're going to be taking that Big Bird energy straight to Sabrina's doorstep for badge number 6. We're definitely a tad under the level cap, but these gyms have been a little underwhelming, so maybe this will make things a bit more challenging. It doesn't seem very promising though, as Sabrina kicks off the battle with a level 50 Abra. I checked after the battle, and this thing only knows Teleport and Flash, but she doesn't get either of them off, because Big Bird just drills a hole through her skull with another Drill Peck. Second is Kadabra, who we still outspeed with Big Bird, but maybe level 42 was a bit overly confident because we do not one-shot her, and she retaliates with a strong Psychic. That's pretty bad because it means we definitely do not one-shot the Alakazam that Sabrina brings in next. And since critical hits are based on the speed stat in this game, Alakazam has a roughly 25% chance to land a crit, so I don't really have a safe switch. My only play is to hope that Big Bird can kill Alakazam with a critical hit Drill Peck of his own before going down to a Psychic. But he doesn't even outspeed, so Alakazam kills him with a single Psychic. The very first Nuzlocke I ever did was in Pokemon Fire Red, and I remember getting very attached to my Fearow, a Pokemon that I had never used up until that point. When Fearow died, I was devastated, learning right then and there that Nuzlockes can be as cruel as they are fun. Over 10 years later, it looks like I still can't keep my Fearows alive. It still doesn't feel great, but at this point I've lost enough friends to know that you gotta keep pushing on. For the fallen and for the living. Big Bird's death will not be in vain. Or maybe it will, because I don't have a whole lot of confidence that we can beat this Alakazam. Most of my team is made of special attackers or Pokemon that get hit by super effective damage from Psychic, and since special attack and special defense are a single stat in Gen 1, this Alakazam is ridiculously tough to break through by using special attackers. I bring in Queso, but I know that he's slower than Big Bird, so the only thing I can do is hope that he's able to survive a Psychic, though I'm almost certain that he absolutely would not survive a crit. Fortunately, for whatever reason, Alakazam goes for Psy-Wave instead of Psychic, which does just under 50%. This lets Queso retaliate with a strong Body Slam. Then, a critical hit priority Quick Attack finishes off Alakazam on the next turn, winning us the battle and avoiding a wipe. That was an absolutely impressive showing of Rat Power. It was pretty stupid to go into that gym underleveled. It worked for Koga because he had 4 Bug-type Pokemon, but given that Alakazam is one of the best Pokemon in Gen 1, I shouldn't have been so reckless against Sabrina. Too bad I absolutely do not learn my lesson, and I repeat the exact same thing against Blaine. His lead Ninetales is already at a higher level than Submarine. We outspeed and hit the Fox with a Surf, but it doesn't do nearly enough damage for the KO, as he retaliates with a Confuse Ray. So on the next turn, I switch out to Sunflower, who has replaced Big Bird and fully evolved into Charizard. After getting hit by a Tail Whip on the switch, a critical hit slash finishes off Blaine's lead Pokemon. Rapidash comes in second. We outspeed and hit another critical hit slash before tanking a fairly strong Stomp. Then we go for a Fly. Without a crit, it isn't enough to kill Rapidash, so Sunflower gets hit by another Stomp. And then a final slash finishes off Blaine's little pony. So last is Arcanine. It's kinda cool that they actually gave Blaine, the 7th gym leader, a team of fully evolved Pokemon in this game. As I switch back to my other starter, Arcanine sets up a Reflect, which I didn't even know he could learn. Then it's just a matter of tanking a fairly hard Fire Blast as we retaliate with an even harder Surf, though the 8 level disadvantage is really not helping me out much. A Takedown does good damage on the next turn, but it's not enough to stop Submarine from dousing the dog with one last Surf, winning us the battle for the 7th gym badge. That was way closer than it had to be, but surely now I've learned my lesson, and I'll make sure to level up my Pokemon to the level cap. Right? Nope. Giovanni time, and all my Pokemon are sitting pretty at level 48. Submarine is out first again, this time against Giovanni's Dugtrio. Dugtrio outspeeds and hits us with a Sand Attack, which is pretty cheeky, but at least we manage to connect and kill him with a Surf. That brings in Persian second. This is such a cool addition to Giovanni's team. For every weird change, like giving Koga 3 Venonat for some reason, there's a really awesome one like giving Giovanni his signature Pokemon from the anime. I switch Submarine into Sunflower, but he gets hit by a nasty critical hit slash. Based on my understanding of how critical hits are calculated in Gen 1, Persian is effectively always guaranteed to land a critical hit with Slash. In fact, so would any Pokemon with more than roughly 64 base speed. High critical hit ratio moves in Gen 1 are kinda busted. Anyways, I switch to Squash as Persian lands a Screech, which halves my defense. But critical hits also ignore defense drops in Gen 1, so Persian's Slash on the next turn does effectively the same damage it would have on the switch. This lets Squash nail Persian with a nasty double kick, though it isn't enough for the kill. So, fearing another crit here, it's off to Mustard. But Giovanni just uses a Guard Spec, which I don't even really know what that does, to be honest. Like, if I had to guess, it protects the Pokemon from having its stats dropped or something. But obviously that doesn't matter because Mustard can outspeed and fry Persian with a Thunderbolt on the next turn. Third is Nidoqueen, so I switch to Submarine as Giovanni uses another Guard Spec. Then we nail the Park Ground type monster with a Surf, which doesn't do enough damage to kill, but it doesn't really matter because— oh my god! Yeah, I did not see that Thunder coming. I mean, thankfully it doesn't crit or paralyze, so we can kill Nidoqueen with a second Surf, but boy, that was scary. Fourth is Nidoking, which can definitely kill Submarine, but Giovanni seems hellbent on using whatever a Guard Spec is on all of his Pokemon, so I gamble and stay in. And that's exactly what happens. In Gen 1, item usage doesn't seem to have priority, so we hit him with a Surf before he uses a Guard Spec. Last is Rhydon, but we kill him in one shot with a Surf, winning us the 8th and final gym badge. That was a pretty scary fight. Things definitely could have gone much worse with a little bad luck, or against a slightly better AI, so once again, not getting to the level cap was really stupid, especially because it turns out that Giovanni's Dugtrio knows Fissure. That obviously could have been a catastrophe, but I think that ignoring the level cap has made the video a little more exciting, so I'm gonna keep going with it. There's really just one final challenge left though, and that's facing off against the Elite Four and the champion at the Indigo Plateau. The level cap is 62 to match the highest level of whatever Lance's ace is. Presumably it's a Dragonite, but I've settled on 60 to keep things a little more exciting. The 6 final team members I've chosen have been the same 6 I've consistently relied on for most of the playthrough. Even though there might be some better options, it only feels right to finish the run with them. Let's see if they've got what it takes to become champions. First up is Lorelei, the Ice-type trainer that also has a glaring Electric-type weakness. She leads with Dewgong, and I lead with Mustard, who just cooks Dewgong with a Thunderbolt. And then we do the exact same thing to her Cloyster, her Slowbro, her Jinx, and her Lapras. None of them stand a chance against the sheer special power of Mustard. Since Jinx isn't weak to Electric-type attacks, she does survive one hit, but all she does is nail my Prickly Pup with a double slap. Lapras also survives a Thunderbolt thanks to her decent bulk, but even a critical hit Hydro Pump wouldn't be enough for a kill, since Mustard's special stat is pretty high. So, almost as quickly as it was started, the battle against the first Elite Four member is finished. Second is Bruno, the Fighting-type trainer, and I'm pretty confident that he'll be kicking things off with the iconic Fighting-type Pokemon Onix. So I go ahead and lead with Submarine. My tanky turtle easily kills Onix with a Surf. And then much to my surprise, Surfs also one-shot Bruno's Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. In later generations, both of them have a pretty phenomenal special defense stat of 110, but since Gen 1 only has the special stat for both special attack and special defense, they're each stuck with a special stat of 35. So it does make sense that we get the kills here. Bruno's second Onix also folds to a single Surf, leaving just Machamp. He easily survives one Surf, but just uses the opportunity to hit Submarine with a Leer, so another Surf knocks him out, winning us the battle. Third is Agatha with her poison types, which you'd think would be the perfect opportunity for Squash to sweep with Earthquake. But for the life of me, I couldn't find the TM for Earthquake. Giovanni gave me the TM for Fissure, and after scouring the various dungeons around Kanto, I came up completely empty-handed. Turns out it was in Silphco, but I didn't know that at the time. So instead of Squash, it's up to Queso. Agatha's lead Gengar appears to be unable to hit Queso because she switches out to Golbat as we go for a dig. Well played, Agatha, but Golbat still sucks ass in this game, so Leech Life does a whopping 8 damage as we whiff a dig. Then we nail her with a Body Slam, which immediately causes Golbat to become fully paralyzed. So a second one seals the deal, bringing Agatha's Gengar back in. And from here, it's a sweep with Dig as Agatha's 4 remaining Pokemon succumb to the unstoppable force of Rat Power. One by one they fall. Not even Agatha's second Gengar can survive the furious relentlessness of Rat Power. And just like that, we've beaten the third Elite Four member with a single oversized yet lovable rodent. Last for the Elite Four is Lance. I wager that he'll lead with a Gyarados, which he does, so Mustard is the perfect lead to come in and fry the fish with a Thunderbolt. That brings in Dragonair next. I figure that I'm safe to at least nail the Noodle with a Thunder Wave, but he proves to be much more scary than his appearance suggests by retaliating with a massive Hyper Beam. Fortunately, we're not on the end of a critical hit, though it looks like we would have survived one anyways. I switch Mustard out into Submarine as Dragonair recharges. Then we get the one-shot with a Blizzard. While prepping for the Elite Four, I also couldn't find the TM for Ice Beam. I later learned that it's on the rooftop of the Celadon department store, but it actually doesn't really matter because we managed to connect with Blizzard against both of Lance's Dragonairs. After they go down, Aerodactyl comes out. He goes for a Fly, so we do miss our first Surf, but after he comes down, Submarine gets a clean one-shot, leaving Lance with just one Pokemon left. It is his scary Dragonite though, and he does know Thunder, so if we miss Blizzard, things could be pretty bad. But we don't. Turns out Blizzard has 90% accuracy in Generation 1, so this was way less risky than I thought it was at the time. That's Lance and the Elite Four defeated. All that's left is the final battle against Wiener, who managed to weasel his way into becoming champion moments before I did. Rough day for Lance. He leads with his Sandslash, so I lead with Submarine, who's been absolutely phenomenal in the Pokemon League. Pretty sure he took out almost 50% of the Elite Four all by himself. And Sandslash becomes his latest victim after a single Surf. But second is Alakazam, which is definitely Wiener's scariest Pokemon. A Psychic crits and brings Submarine down to just 9 HP as he retaliates with a pretty soft Bite, which is just normal type in this game. If a critical hit does that much to Submarine, I'm not confident that anyone on our team would be able to switch in and finish Alakazam off before going down. So sadly, this is where we have to part with Submarine. Sacking him on is never something you want to do, but Alakazam is just too imposing of a Pokemon in Gen 1, and our team, powerful as it may be, really doesn't have a great answer into Psychic types. So, with a heavy heart, I let Submarine go down to a Psychic. Rest well, buddy. Thanks for all the help. I bring in Queso to try to avenge Submarine. My hope is that we can survive a non-critical hit Psychic and finish him off with a Body Slam. But we must have gone back in time to 2020, because it's feeling like the year of the rat, baby. Queso is able to outspeed and kill Alakazam before he can do any more damage. Third for Wiener is Exeggutor, so I switch Queso out into Sunflower, though she probably would have been just fine, especially because the Walking Tree misses a Barrage. Sunflower nails Exeggutor with a Flamethrower that does about 60%, and then shrugs off an embarrassing 2 hits from Barrage. A second critical hit Flamethrower torches Wiener's plant, bringing in Magneton. They aren't weak to Fire-type moves just yet, so I switch to Squash. Since we don't have a Ground-type move, I gotta just rely on Strength, which takes far longer to finish the job. But with our secondary ground typing, Magneton is forced to just use Swift, which does basically nothing. A few turns later, they go down, bringing in Cloyster next. I switch to Mustard, who shrugs off an Ice Beam and manages to avoid the freeze. Then we KO the Bivalve with a Thunderbolt. That just leaves Wiener with his last Pokemon, his Flareon, which is apparently at level 65. But we don't back down from a fight, especially not an Evolution vs. Evolution showdown. My puppy outspeeds and connects with a Thunder, which does a massive chunk of damage to Flareon, though it isn't enough for the one-shot. But then Mustard just retaliates with a Fire Spin. Since this is Gen 1 Fire Spin, Mustard can't attack for a few turns as he just has to take residual damage each turn. But a few turns later, we break free, and with one final Thunderbolt, we finish off Flareon, defeating our rival Wiener, and winning my very first Nuzlocke of Generation 1. This was by no means a difficult challenge, but playing through Generation 1 for the first time in a long time was a real treat, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm obviously blinded by nostalgia, but I can't help it. Pokemon has been such a huge part of my life, and it all started with my very first playthroughs of the Generation 1 games. I know this video probably won't do nearly as well as most of my other videos, but it was still a nice experience to go down memory lane. And hopefully there will be plenty of new memories to make as I explore everything Scarlet and Violet has in store for us. I'm super excited to share everything I've been working on for those games, so be sure to look out for plenty of Gen 9 content on my channel in the coming weeks. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching, it'd be great if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel. Or don't, I don't know, but I do know that you should follow me on Twitter and Twitch to keep up with streams of my future challenges. You should also subscribe to my highlights channel to get highlights of the challenge I'm currently streaming before it's cut down to a video on the main channel. And be sure to join the FlygonHG community Discord where you can discuss Nuzlocking and contribute to future challenges. I also recently launched a Patreon as a way to support the channel, which comes with access to bonus content and early video access. The links to everything are in the description below. Stay tuned for more Nuzlocke videos, and until then, remember to always, always, always play around the critical hit. Oh wait, there's still one more thing to do. Surely now I'm worthy enough to be Bulbasaur's trainer, right? Yeah, okay, sure. No, that's fine. I mean, clearly this Bulbasaur deserves a better trainer than me. He probably needs a trainer that's traveled the world, defeated a criminal terrorist organization, earned all 8 gym badges, and become champion of the Pokemon League. Oh wait, I did all those things! What more could you possibly want, lady? What more do I have to do? I am literally the strongest trainer in all of Kanto, and you have the stones to tell me that I'm not good enough to take care of a level 10 Bulbasaur. I could raise this house to the ground, and there is nothing you can do to stop me. I could walk into Cerulean Cave, catch Mewtwo with the custom-made Master Ball that was given to me for saving Silphco from terrorists, and then use that Mewtwo to pop your tiny mind like a grape. You have no idea what I'm capable of. That Bulbasaur is mine, lady. You hear me? Mine. Mine.